Laurie Glenn, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much to accept our invitation. Laurie Glenn, you are founder, president, and CEO of Thinkinc, based in Chicago, specializing in policy issues, public affairs, and political consulting.
Oui.
Right?
Yes.
And you are more 30 years experience.
Yes.
And absolutely, you have connection with politics, public, private, public. How power mean to you, Laurie Glenn?
The ability to be free, the ability to move, the ability to have a voice in the public sphere or at home even. We all need the ability to have the freedom, the equality, to say and act in the world as we choose to without hurting other people. That I think is very important. So underneath everything I have ever done in my life, it has always been a question of power.
Thank you. What is power reflected in your professional life or personal life, or in your professional environment?
But when I was a young woman, it was really, really challenging for me to be able to have power. And it always seemed like a man would walk into the room and immediately they would have power. And I would walk into the room and I would not. And when I started my second company, even in my early 30s, people would say, well, who are your clients? I'd say, oh, I have my own consulting firm. And they'd be like, well, who are you? And then I would say, well, it's the First National Bank of Chicago, which is now a major institution. It's Chase Bank. Then they would go, oh, you're somebody. But it was not enough just for me to walk into the room. And I had a firm in my 30s where I wanted to show that a woman could have her own full-service communications consulting firm that worked on public policy issues. And at one time, we were one of the top 4 boutique full-service communications consulting firms in Chicago. And I do believe that I had to work harder and stronger than men. It was clear that it was not enough for me to just walk into the room and say, I can do this job. I had to show I could do this job better than anyone else.
And how do you maintain a balance between your family life and your work life? Because you are passionate, you are engaged, you do many different things in the same time. What is your secret?
When I really wanted to be focused on my business, I actually stopped all those outside activities. I have been married, but I didn't have children. And really it was because I was focused on my career. And at that time, that was the most important thing. In building my company, I did work 18-hour days. So I admire women who are able to do everything. I don't think I was able to do everything. I did pay a price. The world is different now. And I'm so glad for young women. They have many more choices. And I believe that many women like myself, we did a lot of hard work to ensure that we planted the seeds and tilled the soil. So women today, they have more choices than perhaps I had.
Thank you. If often say that women who have power have had to sacrifice something to get there, what do you think about that?
When I see a woman who wants power and is really special, I do say, faites attention, take time. It is really important to have a personal life. I think you don't want to burn out. If you're in it for the long run, then you really need to take the time, prendre le temps pour réfléchir, to be thinking about what's important to you both as a woman, because I do think it's important to have family, to have private time, and to take the time to understand what your priorities are in life, if you're really in it for the long haul.
Absolutely. I know your engagement about diversity issues and gender equality. If you have some proposition or suggestion.
So in my company, we were hired many times by organizations that decided they wanted to work in communities of color. And they would come to me and they'd say, Laurie, we want to do this in this community. And I'd go, well, that's really nice that you want to do that to this community. But maybe the best idea, really the very best idea, is for you to go to that community and sit down with the people that you want to do something with and actually find out what they want to have done. The real art of diversity is to listen to what people are saying and then really act upon it and be willing to not do just what you actually already had decided you were going to do.
Laurie, in preparing this interview, we ask you to bring to us something, some object or some photos who inspired you, women, power and femininity.
I brought this photo of myself with a woman and her two daughters that I went on the March in Washington for Women, excuse me, this last January. And I brought this because I think it's so important that these young women, they will never forget this moment where millions of people came together. And when we chanted, "Show me what democracy looks like," and we said, "This is what democracy looks like," they were so filled with joy and the hope and happiness of what it meant to act in the world and to feel free and to know that there were so many millions of people across America who were simultaneously marching in Chicago, in Detroit, in Miami, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in small towns across the country, and there were marches across the world, to know that that people believe that women should and do have power.
If you were to give some piece of the advice to young girls, it's like the generation that you told us just before, who inspired to have a powerful future. What would you tell her?
Trust yourself. Listen to yourself, dedans. Listen to your heart. Listen to your spirit, to your own soul. I think women in particular still are plagued with so many insecurities. We are so hard on ourselves. It's okay to make a mistake. In fact, if you don't fail in life and then dust yourself off, get back up on your feet, and learn from that, I don't really know what success can be. You know, courage only comes if you're afraid. I am always afraid. I am afraid all the time. I make new mistakes, interesting mistakes every day. So courage is not being afraid or insecure. Courage is saying, I'm really scared, I'm afraid, I don't know what I'm doing, and going, but I'm doing it, and I am going there, and I'm going to try this. Even if I'm not sure, croisez les doigts, peut-être ça marche, I hope it works. And if it doesn't work, that doesn't mean you stop. That's just the beginning. That means you learn, because life is just one big, long lesson.
Thank you for this very important advice for the young girl. I hope who see this interview. If a girl says, when I grow up, I want to be Laurie Glenn. What did you tell her?
I would say, again, trust yourself. You know, listen to that little voice inside of you and don't allow other people to define your reality. And to enjoy life. Live in the moment. Really, life is short. It's so important not to doubt yourself. And once you make a decision, go for it. And if it's not all what you wanted it to be, forgive yourself and really allow yourself to learn lessons and take risks. I think in life, it's so important to not play it safe. I mean, I'm not saying give up the ship, everything, or throw caution to the wind. But I do believe that when I die, I have lived and loved an incredible life. Like I regret, je ne regrette pas rien. And that's a really important thing to know. I have climbed mountains, and I'm afraid of heights, but I climbed the Grand Teton in Jackson Hole, Wyoming when I was 35. And it was one of the greatest moments of my life. And I was terrified. So that's my biggest advice is I lived an amazing life and continue to live an amazing life, I think, because I am willing to take risks and I am working through my fears because every day I am afraid, but I don't let it stop me from continuing on this adventure we call life, because there's no like, oh, we're done now. Like, I'm not retiring ever. Like, I don't want to retire from life, because I was very lucky that my work and my life, well, I lived my days as I lived my nights. They were filled with passion.
Thank you. It is the end of the interview, Laurie. On one word for Laurie Glenn, power is?
Passion. Freedom.
Passion and freedom. Thank you so much, Laurie.
Thank you so much, Carole.